the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on.
Yes, my Straight Dog family, when you hear that theme song, you know it's time for another edition of Straight Talk. Time for me to say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis, and good night to the entire Caribbean. In fact, I can say good night to the entire world, because we are on the World Wide Web, and we reach different regions in the world, especially to connect with our Kittitian and Nevision diaspora. I know there are some in Africa, there are some in Asia, there are some in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And we always have first-timers. There's somebody joining me for the first time. And just to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's, in the process, I'm begging earnestly that in the process we will all try to bring back St. Kitts to its old accolade of being one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we also try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. I've been missing quite a lot of obituaries, those people who have gone to the great beyond, and it sometimes passes me by. I miss going home or sending home my brother's son the other day because I had to be engaged in this matter, a matter that I'm forbidden to talk about. So you take a guess what I am really referring to. Nonetheless, I want to reach out to my paternal link, Sonny Nolan, and his entire family, and all those who have lost loved ones at this time. And again, for the first timers, we normally have what we call our observations in review. And it's the time when we highlight the issues and do some reflections. And there are so many issues that's happening around us, my Straight Talk family. And we can perhaps talk about all of them and talk here for 3 or 4 hours. But our program is every Monday and Thursday from 8 in the p.m. until 10 p.m. And the time flies so fast. But it's a time when we ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished since we last met, how it has helped others, what has changed, what can be expected next, also what we have learned as a people. And I can tell you, we don't know what to expect from the current disposition of our own beloved country with this type of leadership that we have. But our first observation, we go across the Narrows to our sister island in Nevis. And for those who may not know, we have a federation of 2 islands and 1 lovely paradise. We have a very strange constitution, but someday some men of courage and some men of valor would really look at our constitution, make the necessary amendments so we can all live as one people. There are some anomalies in the constitution, I would say. And it was a constitution with parts that were parts of convenience. But some of the time we will discuss that. But across the Narrows, the Nevis Reformation Party seem to be having an internal feud, or must I say, seem to be experiencing, beg your pardon, some challenges, or there is a spat between the 2 elected members of the NRP in the recently, or from the recently concluded NIA elections. Its leader, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, revealed last Thursday or Friday that
with 2 elected members, the NRP is entitled to have 1 member appointed as opposition leader, provided that that member is supported by the other elected member. The opposition leader is entitled to nominate a senator in the Nevis Island Assembly. The Executive Committee of the Nevis Reformation Party took a decision on December 29, 2022, that I, as party leader, should be appointed the opposition leader. The Honorable Cleo Stapleton Simmons was aware of the executive decision and was requested to advise the Governor General of her support for me as the opposition leader. It is with regret that I inform you that to date, Honorable Cleo Stapleton Simmons has not complied with the request of the Executive Committee. As such, the Governor General has not appointed an opposition leader.
My Straight Talk family, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, as you have gleaned from that soundbite, is still the leader of the NRP. And she further reported this to the Federation, in particular to Nevisions.
I wish to advise that the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons has been conditionally suspended from the institutions of the NRP pending the findings and recommendations of the NRP Disciplinary Committee. I can assure you that as we take this time that God has given us to build our resilience, our integrity, and our togetherness, my NRP remains resolute that we have a mandate to take Nevis in a new direction to overcome the many social, economic, and environmental challenges that we face in today's ever-changing world. The people of Nevis deserve a caring and compassionate NRP government that can empathize with our struggling families and who want a brighter and more sustainable future for our youth.
And my Straight Talk family, strange but true, Cleon Stapleton Simmons said that she's mindful that this impasse requires an expeditious resolution. Those are my words.
We are mindful that it has to be resolved expeditiously, as our supporters definitely expect a quick resolution to the matter. And we are mindful that we will have budget debates very shortly. And so one would expect that this matter will be resolved before the next parliamentary sitting.
Interesting, she said expeditious. But this matter has been going on for over a month, if the leader is accurate that the executive made a decision on December 29. Meanwhile, though, somewhat harsh, I believe, regional political scientist Peter Wickham minced no words in likening the actions of Cleon Simmons as political stupidity. That's what Peter Wickham said, my Straight Talk family.
Her long-term political reality is quite grim. My sense is that the NRP is the future of Nevis, because there certainly is a favorable swing, a favorable tailwind in their favor. So they're the future, and if she has determined that it is better for her to hitch her wagon to another star, a star which is on the decline, I would say that she demonstrated a level of political stupidity that would suggest that she was not worthy of promotion in the first place.
And the question is being asked as well, can she ever be trusted again by the Nevis Reformation Party? And that has to be a fair question, my Straight Dog family.
Long-term reality for her, the prospects are not that great as it stands unless she is able to mend fences and do so quickly. Within a future NRP government, whenever that occurs, whether it's now or in the future, she will not be trusted. And you know, trust is something which it takes a long time to build, and it can be destroyed in a second.
Yes, trust can be destroyed in seconds. And still in Nevis, our second observation addresses the political capital and trustworthiness of Premier Brantley. And based on the results of the last Nevis Island Assembly elections, Brantley, it is suggested, should make this term as Premier and leader of the CCM his last, according to political analyst Peter Wickham. However, Wickham does not believe Brantley would be inclined to step down, and I would tend to concur if I know the man who likes power. he too has a trust deficit. I submit.
The assessments of Brantley's leadership have been, certainly for me, have been disappointing. I had expectations of him not only at the local but at the federal level, and he achieved some distinction by serving at both levels with some distinction, and I think that is noteworthy. Against the background, there have been these disappointments in terms of the fact that ultimately he was one of the people who broke up the team unity arrangement. It has not paid dividends for him at the local level, and now you're looking at a person who is essentially a wounded premier who will continue to soldier on, and I believe he will, because I think that at the root of it, you're dealing with a personality that is not convinced that he is not good for the politics of Nevis, and he will soldier on in that regard. My feeling is that, he had an opportunity. He hasn't been able to make good on it, and I don't see him being the future of local politics within Nevis. And I certainly don't believe that anyone is going to trust him at the federal level in a hurry either. So, personally, if I were him, I would look to alternative opportunities, especially as you do have the benefit of being one of few persons who sat in the chair of premier, and one of the few persons who sat in the chair of premier that also held ministerial office and achieved some distinction at the federal level. So, from those two perspectives, I would say that he has done reasonably well and could consider an early retirement and perhaps go back to his lucrative private practice.
Mr. Wickham was asked whether he thought there...
And yes, my Straight Dog family, that's Peter Wickham speaking with SKN Newsline. But the trustworthiness of Brantley is something would come to the fore each time that name is called. Lack of trust and Brantley synonymous. A very interesting observation, my Straight Talk family, that has come to hand is the Diaspora meeting planned in Florida this coming weekend. And the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew and the Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Llewellyn Douglas are slated to have a town hall style meeting at the Florida International University this coming Saturday. I trust that Prime Minister Drew will be upfront and honest with the people in Florida, because he has known to be, or he has come to be known as one who fabricates. Some people don't like me to say lies. They say that sounds too brutal. My friend likes me to say stranger to the truth. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. But the man lies like when horse is trotting, as my grandmother would say. So I trust you will hold his feet to the fire. No matter they're pretending they're good. Llewellyn Denzel Douglas is cocking his foot and drinking his coffee. They are pretending now. Strange bedfellows. But my fourth observation is about the blame game that's going on. There's no water. Electricity interruptions abound. And the list goes on. But people in this country would no longer accept excuses. People in the country are not concerned about the past. We are not driving this car and looking in the rearview mirror. The people are telling me to ask the Jew administration, or to tell them rather, we want water now. They've asked me to say to the authorities, we want electricity now, and a reliable and stable one. They've asked me to say to Jew and his bunch of experts, we want good roads now. No more potholes. And we also want good health. Mr. Minister of Health and Prime Minister. Imagine on the Jew, someone got a hip damage and was left to die at Dr. Drew's Joseph N. France General Hospital. What a shame. After all his boasting about our health is his wealth. And mark my words, the last time that under the Labour administration, a medical doctor was the Minister of Health, that's when the hospital started running down. You remember Asim Martin? He was a doctor. You ask yourselves. But he was the Minister of Health. Trained apparently in Cuba. And it's the worst we've ever had at the JNF hospital. I remember writing a speech for Asim on his campaign. And the speech was, fly them out. Every time somebody gets sick, you fly them out. Well, now we have a medical doctor, is a Minister of Health. And what happens? You get sick, fly them out. That's what's happening here in St. Kitts under the Jew Labour administration. Our hospital needs reparation works, rehabilitation works. It needs enhancing, no matter what they say. And we don't want to hear about the past. We want good health now. And you must stop the blame game. And I like this lady, I don't know who she is. From time to time, she's made these public utterances. And she put it right.
It cannot be business as usual. We should no longer be here playing the blame game that the former administration, yes, we know all this stuff that went wrong. And there were some things that were right too. But we cannot continue to allow our ministers of government to get complacent, because then it means we're settling. And we should not settle because we support parties. We have to continue to hold people's feet to the fire. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. Because remember, they had those points of view before they got into office. So now they're in office. If whatever they knew was wrong before they entered, unless they fix it, it is still wrong. So if there was a problem before, it wouldn't just disappear after. You are now at the helm, get it fixed. And it shouldn't be politics all the time in order to get things done. Two things I want: the government to look after the country and look after the citizens.
And those are things that we expect the government to do. To look after the country and look after its citizens. Provide the public goods, health, water, sanitation, electricity, and the list goes on. Finally, our fifth observation, my Straight Dog family. It's a very serious one. Because word is circulating that Minister Maynard wants to bring back Speedtech St. Kitts Nevis Limited. And I'm sure that Speedtech St. Kitts Nevis Limited rings a loud bell in all our ears. Speedtech St. Kitts Nevis Limited is a company in which the father of Minister Maynard was the sole director. Underline, I said was. I cannot confirm at this point if he is still the sole director or even if the company still exists. But we recall the scandal back then on the Labour when he was the sole director of Speedtech. And I remember he said this.
I'm a citizen of St. Kitts. I've grown up in St. Kitts. I spent 3 years outside of St. Kitts, but I've always been in St. Kitts. So whether or not I am involved, I just don't understand what they're talking about. I don't understand what is the accusation, really, on Lincoln Maynard with respect to anything that the government is doing with respect to its renewable energy program.
You don't understand. Well, we are following that story, my Straight Dog family. But meanwhile, Minister Maynard has the Leclanche Solar Farm project on hold. On hold now, going on 7 months. Even though his colleague told the parliament, or told the press conference first of all, get on with it. Why is he holding up this project? Only God knows. But we are looking at the play. Because if Speed Tech or whichever renewable energy company comes back, wow, I can't tell you what will happen. But his colleague told the parliament that the cabinet in which she serves understands the basic principle of continuous government. And I must say something about young Joya Clark. She's my friend. She always said to me, I did not like her. But I will say publicly, I love Dr. Clark. She is, highly intelligent. She speaks well. But I've always said to her one thing. Please do not make the member from number 6 your role model. If you make him your role model and you start behaving like him, your future would be short-lived. But Dr. Joya Clark explained the basic principle of continuous government, and I felt proud that she said this, and I trust she would tell her colleagues this as well.
As a progressive government, we do not discard work of the past simply because it was done by a former government. As a progressive government, we do not discard work of the past simply because it was done by a former government.
And those are some sober words, and that concludes my observations that are currently under review. And my Straight Talk family, my dissertation tonight is an era of revenge, spite, and malice. Because I've come to that conclusion, or that title, that caption. Because 6 months ago, Kititians and Nevisians voted for a fresh government with a fresh leader, and one who was expected to address head-on the kitchen table, or as most of us know it, the bread and butter issues. We voted for a fresh government with a fresh leader, and one who was expected to address head-on the issues of nature and climate change. Instead, today, we have a situation and a new government of revenge, spite, and malice. And the government is not discriminating, as revenge, spite, and malice are meted out to the lowly, even a cleaner at the hospital or a cleaner on the road. Also to a head of state. Who would believe that a head of government pays his first courtesy call on the head of state, and the first question posed to the head of state was, how do you want to leave the office? That was the first question posed by the Prime Minister to the Governor General, and he gave the Governor General a deadline.
And when I went to visit the former Governor General, Sir Tapley, he and I had a discussion, and I asked him, how do you want to leave the office? He gave me a timeline. I respected the timeline. And so he said to me he wanted his time would be up to the end of December because he wanted to put things in place and so forth. I said, fine. And I went back to see him again and he said, you know, PM, I need some more time. I said, no problem. And I gave him until the end of January.
My Straight Talk family, his first meeting with the head of state, the representative of the king, he asked him, how does he want to leave? And he gave him a timeline and a deadline. But we later found out that the head of government and prime minister went to Government House to exact Labour's revenge and spite. And that is clear based on what he said.
If you go back and you see how Sir Edmund was treated, Sir Edmund Lawrence, the disrespect with which he was treated, basically kicked out of the place, had no privileges after he left. He was not even included in an official protocol list.
So that was the issue he had with our former head of state, Governor General Sir Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, GCMG CVO KCJP. And tonight, as an imperative, I should say, we are going to take a few minutes and pay tribute to the fourth Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis, Sir Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, GCMG CVO KCJP. Sir Tapley served as Registrar of the Supreme Court and acting magistrate, as a Crown Counsel for the Attorney General's Chamber. And in 1980, he was appointed Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis and served in that capacity for 15 years until 1995. Nothing like the Attorney Generals that succeeded him. Nothing like the current Attorney General. In 1988, he was appointed as one of Her Majesty's councils, Queen's Counsel, in 1988. He became acting Governor General on the 20th of May 2015 and was appointed Governor General by Queen Elizabeth II on the advice of Prime Minister Timothy Harris on the 1st of September 2015. He has served on various boards. He has served in many positions on committees and organizations. The Frigate Bay Development Corporation. He was president of the St. Christopher Heritage Society, now the St. Christopher National Trust. President of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association and the OECS Bar Association. And vice president for the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park Society. My Straight Dog family, Sir Tapley was also one of the framers of our Constitution.
I was among the framers of the Constitution. Basically, the framers of the Constitution expected conventions to be respected. And here it is, one is having a departure from the conventions as established under our Westminster system.
And my Straight Talk family, Sir Tapley was fearless in expressing his legal opinions, even on controversial matters, like this opinion.
The motion of no confidence is there. I mean, at all times, it's we can repeat ourselves ad nauseum in terms of saying that this is a matter that should have been accorded the highest priority. because in the parliamentary setting, that is the motion that has to be given the priority that it deserves. And you have numerous examples during the time that this motion has been lying there before the parliament, where motions of no confidence have been heard, have been dealt with in our surrounding areas and beyond. And so there's no shying away from the fact that there has been, in my view, a breach of that protocol that demands an early hearing of a motion of no confidence. The question of moving it lies within the parliament, lies within the hands of the speaker.
And my straight talk family, it is perhaps opinions like the last one that may have motivated Prime Minister Drew up to this moment to replace Sir Tapley as Governor General. It was, however, rather an unfortunate breach of protocol when the content of a private conversation between the Queen's representative and the Prime Minister would be exposed to or in the public domain. So Samuel Weymouth Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, KC, JP, was, however, gracious in his departure from Government House. And we all pray for God's guidance and for his good health and a feeling of great happiness and triumph, knowing that he was an outstanding and faithful servant to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. May we all wish Sir Tapley a happy retirement.
I take this opportunity to express sincere thanks and appreciation to all who have assisted me in the discharge of my duties. These include my administrative staff, gardeners and other support staff at Government House, who have served diligently, enabling me to perform my duties. This has been a fulfilled experience, coming as it does after having served for 15 years as the first Attorney General of an independent St. Christopher and Nevis. I'm also grateful to the persons who have assisted me in the journey, including my family, medical professionals, and the security services, and all who have been very supportive of my efforts to build on the structure of Government House and its surroundings to ensure access to the People's House and to facilitate all activities of the Office of the Governor General.
My Straight Dog family, one more time, we extend greetings to Sir Tapley for a happy retirement. And the story of Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton is a great point of departure, I believe. For our short dissertation tonight, I have entitled An Era of Revenge, Spite, and Malice. Because the 2022 general elections seem to have been motivated by revenge, malice, spite, and ill will. My Straight Dog family.
People voted for a particular type of governance. They understand that we have our persons who we want to put in particular positions. That is just part of the normal political process.
Part of the normal political process, according to the Prime Minister, is you get rid of some and you install others, install your people. But I once learned of a popular saying in the worlds of politics and business as well, that most people who come to the state of being important, famous, or noticeable, to the state of prominence, are those who in defeat bear malice, and those who in victory seek revenge. Do you remember, my people, last elections in 2015 and in 2020, which caused him to criticize the Bar Association, the Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, many of the NGOs, when he lost back-to-back in 2015 and 2020.
What took place in St. Kitts and Nevis on June 5th was a travesty to the ideals of democracy. It is sad that I could not hear from the Christian Council on this one, nor the Evangelical Association, nor the Bar Association, nor the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or all those other voices who we would have, who we were accustomed to speak in public when it comes to good governance issues and what is democracy and what is fairness. And so I want to reiterate to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that this is not a St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party's issue. It is way beyond that.
But that was back then. But the same organizations are silent today as well. While there is an unhinged concentration by Prime Minister Jew and his Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin in particular, on achieving the destruction of the People's Labour Party and other opposition supporters, is understandably malicious and revengeful given the nature of these men. His senseless attack on the spirit of entrepreneurship and the vilification of young businessmen are inexcusable, to say the least, my Straight Dog family.
I also have on my desk a security firm. That security firm, I have the contract. They make millions of dollars per year. And that company, with the document, as owner by Heston Ham, is not only seen over the government headquarters, the hospital, but other areas. Yes, we see that one security firm, just from the hospital alone, is making millions of dollars.
But my Straight Dog family, my investigation revealed that this security firm hired 80 persons or more, paid all their benefits as prescribed by law, paid all their business taxes in the millions. So to make money, you have to spend money. That's what business is all about. Don't tell me he made $1 million. How much did he spend? Just like you have your income or your revenue, you have your expenditure. Another entrepreneur was senselessly attacked, and his business ties with the government were promptly severed, done with. Nothing more.
I want to also touch on Open Interactive. In August 2022, the Attorney General notified the public that his office and ministry discontinued the services of Open Interactive. And we know that who owns Open Interactive. Open Interactive received over 1.3 million EC dollars from the Attorney General's office and ministry for the most basic of website design and maintenance services between November 2019 and June 2022 at an average of $42,000 per month. And I am informed by the Attorney General that there was no procurement process completed with respect to that Open Interactive got.
But I challenge the Prime Minister and his AG to tell us about Disseminated or whichever company has been installed as a replacement and how much are they getting. The pompous Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin provided some lame duck excuse for the actions that were taken by the Jew administration.
The people need to know what the people before did, so they can then determine whether they want these people to run their affairs and have control of their treasury again. So by telling the people and being open and transparent with them, by naming the people who have done bad, say what bad they have done, you are really telling the people you need to determine if that kind of conduct is acceptable to you or not. It may be conduct that does not arise to the level of a criminal offense, but it might be dishonest. It might not even be corruption. It might be just below. It might be just a, wow, really? So it's not a matter of naming and shaming. It's a matter of providing the public with the information so they then can determine if these people who did this action when they had the power should get power again, because ultimately the people decide that.
Very interesting commentary. But suffice to state for now, my Straight Talk family, there is something called the clean hands doctrine. Some say the unclean hands doctrine, or others refer to it as the dirty hands doctrine, which states that, and I quote, "He who comes into equity must come with clean hands." I repeat that. He who comes into equity must come with clean hands. But the country will never forget the recent diatribe coming from the Attorney General. Yes, it was a long, angry speech of criticism and or accusation by the Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin that was unprecedented in tone, content, volatility, and malice, with the aim, no doubt, of reminding us that there are new rulers in town, and we must therefore shake in our boots, my Straight Dog family.
I'm not afraid of anybody, and I was saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
He even beat his chest and declared the rule of man. What is the rule of man, you may ask? But the most learned Attorney General ever obliged. He obliged my Straight Dog family.
I might be publicly embarrassing some people, which might actually be worse than going to prison. I'm contemplating whether I should do that, and I'm minded more so about 70-30 to embarrass some people who might not have been corrupt, but were, I don't want to use the word I used earlier, but not very friendly towards our treasury, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm going to embarrass some people.
The intention of the chief legal advisor to our government, and government or governments are the people. But the intention of Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin, by his own admission, can be interpreted as telling the world that he bears malice towards the opposition and its supporters. And I will say this in closing, that for as long as Prime Minister Drew and his Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin believe that good governance depends on threatening those in opposition to the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and demonstrating malice and arrogant superiority, then the Jew Labour administration will never gain the trust or cooperation of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And when he casts aside hard-working people with sneering condescension condescension, beg your pardon, taking revenge for what he considers to be partisanship or favoritism in the past. He's only destroying the Federation's path to sustainable economic development. It was the IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva who wrote in April 2022 and reminded us that we are facing a crisis on top of a crisis. First, the pandemic, which turned our lives and economies upside down, brought the entire world to a complete halt, a screeching halt. And it is not yet over. Second, Russia's invasion of Ukraine not only devastated the Ukrainian economy, but it sent shockwaves and continues to send shockwaves throughout the globe, throughout the entire world. Inflation has become a clear and present danger for many countries around the world, and this is a massive setback for the global recovery. In economic terms, growth is down and inflation is up. In human terms, people's incomes are down and hardship is up. Go into town, everyone will tell you, nothing going on, man. That's what they're saying. We are in a crisis. And that word crisis, I learned, consists of two characters: danger and opportunity. It is said that it takes brains to struggle with challenges and experience to cope with dangers. I submit tonight, my Straight Dog family, our country will fail if we do not change this era of revenge, spite, and malice. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines and let me hear from you. But as I said to you, it takes brains to struggle with challenges and experience to cope with dangers. What's your view on my position? What's your view on this era of revenge, spite, and malice which has come over our beloved country? Our country where peace should abound. The numbers are 663-6672 or 646-829-6672. I always want to implore you, and I'll open the lines right now, my Straight Dog family. Respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourself. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I go to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Hey, family parties, what's going on, man?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm blessed to hear your voice again. Monday.
Good to hear, my brother. Good to hear as well.
The country is not going anywhere, Patches. That guy, Wilkinson, oh my God. He's not a good guy. He's too pompous, Patches. Too pompous. And look at that guy who is the advisor to the Prime Minister, Edinburgh. He's getting $10,000 and he's overseas. So what? We're paying for a sick person? Patches, that's saying right?
I saw him on a Facebook post. Apparently he's in Cuba.
Yeah, he's in Cuba for treatment for his cancer. He got cancer. So.
He got cancer. We wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, and he making money and he's not working. So that's taxpayers' money there too.
Okay.
And then, but we need to feed ourselves patches. We need to ground them how up to plant food. We ain't coming every day patches.
Have
we
they
need
got
food in the country?
Have they got the tractors? The farmer was complaining to me that during Christmas or before Christmas, with all the rain, that the tractors were sent to the carnival committee instead of being assigned to the farmers. Has that changed?
Yes, and I went to Gulfax night down in Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Nevis gonna leave us. Look at that. Nevis gonna do broiler chicken. They gonna leave us and think it is more bigger than Nevis, and they gonna leave us. They do pork. Now they're gonna do chicken, so you don't have to look for chickens now. They buy them from you and they cut them up in wings, legs, necks, whatever you want.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nevis gonna leave us.
Well, we hope they stop the blame game and really do something to generate jobs and to stimulate the economy. But we'll see what happens, my dear brother. But thanks.
Yeah, and then the prison start again. So they're starting work up there right now.
The prison? Okay.
Yeah, it starts again.
Okay.
Last week.
Okay. Well,
the crane up there, the guys up there working, the Chinaman's up there working right now.
Okay. Well, he signed over 3,000 CORs, I understand. He's failed to report to the country, but that's the kind of government we have. That's the era we're in. That's the new transparency. But thanks.
So I want them God cannot see that the transparency with the prison project gonna stop, but look, it starts again.
Okay, my brother. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your intervention and for keeping us abreast. And that's what we need. We need to let the country know what's happening. Sometimes the truth is brutal, but we must be fearless when we come to the truth. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Mr. Streetak.
Hello?
Mr. Streetak, hello.
How are you, my brother? How are you? What
can I say, man? It's good to hear your voice.
Good to hear you as well. How is
you know what? I often see that that's what's going to happen to that. You were saying something. Go ahead.
I was asking how was the weather in your neck of the woods?
Oh, it was cold this morning, but this afternoon it's 50-something, so it's good. But then it's coming back down to cold. What you do? You just got to do what you got to do.
Bad up, yes.
No? You just got to do what you got to do, man. So that's all you got to do. Just hold on. You're doing a wonderful job. You know, I often tell people about the Labour Party, and they fail to see that Labour have 90-something years, but no great progress. Look at Tom Bill Port Dante. Look what you guys do. Just in 7 years, you guys don't build a brand new that is the best let's say in the Caribbean going east now. So what Labour going to say that they got to go after? Nothing. But I often hear that young lady calling and she say, tell Timothy to get rid of the Labour people that's in office, and he won't. He won't. Because you see, that's the kind of people we have in office. When she wants to get in, he never take out, so he was supposed to take out, because he not like that. And as soon as he's not a generator from the man. So he just show you, he kind of does this, that the Labour Party having. But people don't say it. People don't say it. I mean, I watch Labour Party go after simple man. A part of one but just who they is. So I just want to tell you, see, you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm going to be at your side, my brother. We meet in New York and have lunch, and we will meet again to have a bigger lunch.
Yes, I look
We're going to trust God together, and you keep doing what you're doing. I'm not going to say that. You know, you always let man give them enough chain, let them go. Understand? Just give him enough chain. The more he pull, he's free. So one of these days, he's going to recognize that he can't go no more. They're going to be the end of it. But here, change his direction. That's what's going to happen. He's going to just keep running until he reaches the end of that link. He's going to pop. Mr. Straight Talk, you are doing a wonderful job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Until I see you when I see you, God bless you. Keep good.
God bless you as well, my brother. See you when I see you.
Yes, man.
All right. All the best, my dear brother. Thanks for your contribution. Worthwhile contribution as usual. And my Straight Talk family, if you just joined me, my story tonight is about this era of revenge, spite, and malice that we don't have to, but we are enduring for the moment in our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis. And it stems from what was promised. You remember their mantra was, get rid of them, get rid of them. And they still continue getting rid of them, to use your words, or their words. And this message reads, the Prime Minister was asked 2 questions at his last press conference by the journalists of Win FM. One of which was, what is the state or the status with the Hush Puppy case? The Prime Minister answered the first question, but failed miserably to respond to the Hush Puppy matter. The coward and weak journalist realized that his question was not answered, and instead of reminding the Prime Minister that the Hush Puppy matter was not addressed, he went on to ask another question, far different from the Hush Puppy matter. These journalists in St. Kitts are only in name. Shame on them, reads this email. This other email reads, I hope that the NRP settles their differences soon and have their senator appointed. And I want them to select one of their stalwarts like Carlisle Powell, Dr. Daly, Roberto Hector, Hensley Daniel, or his brother Hastings. You see, Patches, Mark is a political bully, and you need one of these NRP bullies to take him on in the House. To choose any young, inexperienced person is a waste of time. I know Mark is afraid of the NRP bullies, no matter what he says. That is why he keep on abusing and insulting them about they're old and they must go home and sit down. He used to tell Douglas the same thing, but Douglas ignored him. Now he is fully in bed with Douglas. I wonder what kind of feelings he has, reads this other email. And my Straight Talk family, if you have just joined me, we are looking at our caption tonight, an era of revenge, spite, and malice. And for those of you who would have missed my introduction, we believe, we advance that there is lots of spite, revenge going on. I mean, you heard what the Prime Minister said in response to a question about the Attorney General, or beg your pardon, about the Governor General, our 4th Governor General. And he was asked a question about the Governor General, and his response, or part of his response was this, my Straight Dog family. What on earth this had to do with Sir Tapley? He said this.
If you go back and you see how Sir Edmund was treated, Sir Edmund Lawrence, the disrespect with which he was treated, basically kicked out of the place, had no privileges after he left. He was not even included in an official protocol list.
So he came back with revenge, and he went to meet the Queen's representative, and he just asked him
And
this.
when I went to visit the former Governor General, Sir Tapley, he and I had a discussion, and I asked him, how do you want to leave the office? He gave me a timeline. I respected the timeline. And so he said to me he wanted, his time would be up to the end of December because he wanted to put things in place and so forth. I said, fine. I went back to see him again and he said, you know, PM, I need some more time. I said, no problem. And I gave him until the end of January.
And you know, my Straight Dog family, what's even more sad, imagine a head of government goes to see the head of state, the representative of the king, and that's a requirement. And you have a conversation and you come out and you tell the world. What breach of protocol is that? Would he come out and tell St. Kitts what he spoke with Her Excellency Master Liburd? I hope not. And I hope that Her Excellency would be regal in her performance. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
A pleasant good evening to you, Dr. Ian Patches Liburd.
I am Ian Liburd, Patches Liburd.
You don't want the doctor?
No.
Eh?
No. Too many doctors around.
Well, let me tell you something.
Sometimes you wonder how they get this doctorate.
You are a doctor of information that people need to know. So that's why you get the title doctor. You
gotta be careful with that, because when you start to doctor information, it leads to propaganda. I bring you facts.
Yeah, but your information is not propaganda, and it will not lead to that.
So I don't doctor it then.
Definitely.
That's
why they afraid you.
Oh my.
That's why they afraid you. Because any radio station you go and they try to shove you off and muzzle you. But they can't stop. What do you call it there? YouTube.
Media. Social media, yes.
And you're gonna get another radio station to go on, man. Don't worry. Let me start with the man there first. The man there who they call Prime Minister, I think it's Joe. According to Bonnie Spear, Joe is a damn blasted liar.
Oops.
Now, why should he go up the governor's house? Why should he go up there and ask him how he want to leave office? He see the governor anywhere walking and falling down and sick and anything like that. Why should he go up there? He showed the whole wall the reason why he gone up there. To seek revenge. Because look how Mr. Edmund Lawrence was treated. So that's why he gone up there now go return whatever he called bad treatment. But you see, what started wrong cannot end right. You got to end wrong. He started wrong as the leader of the country, about Prime Minister. And he keep dodging. You can tell me for what? 6 months now, going on 7. Up to now, he cannot answer the question. How many passports has he signed in the first 100 days? But he could tell you who owed this money and how much this security company was at this place was working for per month and all of that. But he can't remember how much he signed. Now, what kind of leader is he? We cannot depend on him to lead this country here because of what he is. He's a Taliban. He is one of them people here, them communist people. That is the way he's operating. He's just like Putin. Down to the drain man who's sweeping the drain. Turn them away as soon as you get in here. The first 2 weeks, turn him away. For what? You cannot turn away people if they did not break the rules and regulations of the place of employment. The people, they may do that and you can turn away just because of the political affiliation. That is wrong, Joe. And God will move you. He can move you when you least expect it. You have done enough, and it's time for you to stop it. But you continue because that is the way your Labour Party is. That is, remember Ragsy? A couple years ago, Ragsy used to sell the little Bryson and whatsoever in the cooler over on the grass. He never blocking the traffic. The Labour people, they went and they make him move from there. Then they went up on the top of Timothy Hill and a guy from Lagreed. He was selling his Bryson and whatnot and ice up there. And that Mac went up there and they tell him, move. We are one you selling up here, move. Then 2009, when F.T. Williams Highway opened, my good friend Audrey Adams, she went up there to ply her trade. She set up a table on the grass on the left hand side of the road, on the east side of the road, far from the asphalt. And she put she pot and everything up there on the table, and they went up there and they took up the lady thing and tell her that she ain't supposed to be up there. And then Dr. Douglas said, when he was asked why they moved the lady from up there, he said, it is the law that she ain't supposed to be up there. Up there ain't got in no gazette book as a law that nobody's supposed to go up there. So they don't want to see poor people striving. They want to have poor people always coming up to them in front with the palm of the hand open, begging. So when your money done, they give a little bit more, you come back again and beg. That is their policy. And Juga Anga join that and do the same thing to people. By Joe, you and Mr. Wilkin, you're going to get out of here very quick. I'll be back, Patches.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Always very assertive, to the point. You know, I know that excerpt came from a song, Christopher Columbus, damn blasted liar. I remember that song, so I tolerated that. An angry lady called in to. Let me take this. Let's take this call. I'll come back to that. My Street Dog family, call you live. Okay, I seem to have missed that call. But an angry lady called in last Friday to the 3 groundless jokers and berated the Miss Cleon Stapleton with some inappropriate words. And they immediately cut her off, which I was in agreement with. However, to hear those 3 hypocrites saying to the caller, we do not stand for that kind of behavior. Surely, you can call and make your point without using insulting language to anyone. Patches, really? Are they serious? They have allowed that station to be used by certain characters to hurl and abuse Dr. Harris, Miss Henry, or Mrs. Henry and others relentlessly without any caution, so I don't know who they think they are fooling. Reads that email. Try and dispense with some of these emails. Mr. Liburd, sir, permit me to make this public appeal to the People's Action Movement's party executive. I am a supporter and member of PAM, and I am calling on the executive to call a press conference or issue a press release denouncing PAM's relationship with CCM. Let the public know in no uncertain terms that Mr. Brantley and Sean Richards, beg your pardon, though they are sitting on the opposition benches, they are not together. It is time to stop the hanky-panky around and come straight with us. Continues this email. We, the supporters of PAM, are confused with the true relationship with CCM and PAM. Bearing in mind that during the campaign, PAM said they were working together in a movement. No more party or unity going forward. They touted the fact that this movement will demonstrate real unity, not one-man Timothy Harris unity anymore. Well and behold, since Mark won 3 seats and the PAM won 1 seat, the action and behavior of Mark, coupled with his public utterances, is demonstrative that he has abandoned PAM and is implicitly supporting Labour. Come on, PAM, wake up. The man did not even discuss the leadership or the leadership, beg your pardon, of the opposition and the senator with PAM. Like a ravenous, hungry, greedy animal, he grabbed all for himself. Are you telling me and others that you still in the movement with CCM? You have to be stupid and crazy. If a statement is not forthcoming, I am telling you now that I will throw my full support behind PLP, and I am not alone. Reads this email. And my Straight Talk family, it's 60 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. If you have joined me for the first time, Straight Talk comes your way every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. We have a dialogue, and then we have a monologue, and then we have a dialogue, I should say. And we look at issues of importance. Issues, be they political, economic, social, environmental. We look at all issues of national importance. And we try to raise the level of discourse. And tonight we are looking at the revenge, spite, and malice being meted out to the people in our beloved federation. They started attacking young entrepreneurs. They vilified young businessmen, and this is inexcusable. Businessmen who have people hired. One firm, Estonham, I don't recall the name of his firm, but hires over 30 or over 80 persons or more. But nothing is going on because they have stopped the Bastille High School, they have stopped the solar farm, which would have employed over 100 people. The Bastille High School, I'm sure, would have employed just about that or many more. Over 200 persons could have been gainfully employed. But they have stopped these projects. My Straight Dog family, the pompous AG, Garth Lucien Wilkin, provided some lame duck excuse for the actions that were taken by the Jew administration in relation to Open Interactive and that Heston Hams firm. And my Straight Dog family, suffice to state, as I said earlier, for now, there is something called clean hands, or the clean hands doctrine. Some call it the unclean hands doctrine. Others refer to it as the dirty hands doctrine. And it states quite clearly, and I quote, "He who comes into equity must come with clean hands. But the country will never forget the recent diatribe coming from the Attorney General. Yes, it was a long, angry speech of criticism and or accusation by the Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin. That was unprecedented in tone, unprecedented in content, unprecedented in volatility and malice. And with the aim, no doubt, of reminding us that there are now new rulers in town. Remember, he said, we will shake. He expected people to shake in their boots. Who are going to shake in their boots? You? Certainly not me. And nobody should shake in their boots when it comes to this young man.
I'm not afraid of anybody. And I was saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
Well, I don't know who will shake in their boots. I can't tell you who will, but I can tell you who will not shake in their boots. This email reads, "Good evening, great patriot. They too lie. Patches, now the Commissioner Brantley is winding down his contract. They are out there trying to undermine him, saying he do not have no degree. Patches, I will name all the failed cops or commissioners of police before him. Jeffers, Williams, C.G. Walwyn, Creeley, all those who have more degrees than a thermometer. And the fail that man came on when 36 murders were on the country. Labour was known for murders. Brandy brought them down. And this is how them small boys want to pee on his foot and tell him it is raining. Shame on them. Shame on them." Reads this email. History will not judge righteously. Good night, great patriot. Please be safe. Evil is around us. Reads this email. This other email reads, "Some weeks ago, this jeweler called into on the Mark show and said to Mark that you Patches are trying to bring him down. Well, I want to ask this jeweler who foolishly spent so much money promoting a campaign to forge the political movement between PAM and CCM. What is his stand now? Is he happy with the way Mark has turned his back on PAM? Why are you so silent, Mr. Jeweler? Are you too ashamed and embarrassed now to speak out? You were given the impression that you will be speaking out against all wrong things in any government that is elected. So how come you have nothing to say now, or you have not seen or heard of any wrongdoings as yet? You mean not even the mass victimization that is taking place you know about? Or you're waiting to be appointed as the ombudsman, a position you were begging for? My advice to you is stop looking company with Mark, for you can't be in his company, not you. Therefore, leave Patches alone. You sound like a little child telling one of his peers in order to receive something in return." And the emails, yes, they are coming, so I'll get dispense of them. "Labour is nonsense," reads this email. The Labour Party reminds me of when someone lied on their resume and gets the position of a manager but needs supervision. The Prime Minister don't have a clue. It is a shame what is happening, and the reason why Uncle Dougie is silent. Is that what he wants? Jew to fall or Jew to fail? And that is what Jew is doing. So much so that Uncle Dougie can cock his legs and drink his coffee. It's like drinking water and minding my business. It's now 8:25. The lines are open, my Straight Dog family. The numbers are 663-6672 and 646-829-6672. You can also get these numbers via WhatsApp as well. They're WhatsApp accessible, if you can use that term. So feel free to call them via WhatsApp as well. But let's go back to the lines. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patrick, this is my second do. Patrick, I want people to understand and look very closely. The kind of person the man over Nevis is, the leader over Nevis. He acts like a political mosquito. Mosquito don't bite you on the belly because you can see them and you will kill them. They go behind your back where you cannot see them and they bite you. Take all the blood and go. I could remember when people like Alice, my good friend Maisie, Nabo, Mr. Politics, and myself, every week we used to call in on his show. This time we thought the man was sincere and genuine unity member. We didn't know that the man doing backstabbing in the night when we can't see him until the former premier passed. Then all the badness what he used to do start leaking out of the paper bag. And then what make it worse? When he comes in here, he didn't say, well, he got many supporters on his program, just call in, and he gonna respect at least those who just call him. Now he come down with it in heart, and he don't care. And he come down, he went over Cairn, and he abused, and he believed he was Sonny Lee's son. Abused Dr. Harris, and Dr. Harris was just there cool. And he feel like that because they just call him, what do they call him, sheriff, he's all the bad man, so he could come down and abuse. No, he's supposed to be over on the opposition bench, along with the leader of CAM and the leader of PLP. Well, he over there, but he's still not over there. Because everywhere the Prime Minister of the Federation go, he right up behind the Prime Minister, right up underneath him, closer than the man backs a shot on him. And he's supposed to be an opposition leader. And when those lot of wrong things that the Prime Minister is doing to people, turning away people, innocent, turning away people because they're not backing him, he will never open his mouth and oppose him and tell him he's wrong. And that's supposed to be his duty as an opposition man. He's not doing it. And I want the leader of PAM and the leader of PLP, well, I know PLP ain't in that with he. Because the word them that he let go over Cairn and abuse the PLP, even the devil and all wouldn't have nothing to do with he. Look out for he, all he looking for. Once he could get you to put money in his hand, because he don't know how to raise funds. He do not know how to increase the economy up there. So once you could put money in his hand, that is what he wants. And when he done get enough, he can secede Nevis from St. Kitts because he is a secession. That is what he's aiming for. And I want Dr. Joe, as the Prime Minister, do not trust him because he was one agreed that Dr. Harris will be the Prime Minister because he was the most experienced one in there. But then you only said that in front of people's face. But all they turn the back and go say, let me get him out of here. We don't want him. Backstabber. So Dr. Joe, watch him. Patches, let me give somebody a room because nobody wants to call in. But I don't call in. Because whether I working for them or I ain't got anybody working for them, I gonna speak the truth. I ain't gonna be afraid. My conscience is my dictator, not man and woman. I ain't afraid to tell the truth because in the job not nothing, not me. So all who want to afraid, you stop go church. Because somebody going to church and me don't know why you're going for. I suppose you go to church to worship God. And when I come out there, you serve him. Speak out against wrongdoings. Wrongdoings, speak out. The wrongdoings are in the public domain. Why are you hushing for? Eh? Over 100 and something churches in St. Kitts. And which one of them speaking out? The only pastor that I hear speak out is Mr. Dwayne Nevis. I'll come back, Patches.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Good night. The People's Defender, Ian Patches Liburd, reads this email. Imagine Congress wants to bring back his father for another scandal with SPTEC. And you know what we've been through. So Congress wants to force his families on us, just the way he forces Auntie as his permanent secretary to ICT and Post, where she's harassing and frustrating the workers there. Imagine she walks like a bully in ICT, like she is not afraid of anyone and she answers to no one. It seems as though Congress cannot tell his auntie what to do and to stop treating the staff there like she's doing. Patches, Miss Maynard is a disgrace to the civil service, and Congress needs to ask his good friend Dr. Douglas about her because he had to kick her out of his office when he was Prime Minister, the way she treated the staff at the time like dogs. Patches, Congress has not gone to hear the staff at ICT concerns as yet, even though that department is at a standstill. Staff has been absent and on sick leave. Staff is just not performing in that department. Tell Drew to stop, sit by and watching this slaughter. He needs to rescue the ICT now, reads this email. It's 8:32, my Straight Dog family. The country will never forget the recent diatribe coming from our Attorney General. Yes, it was a long, angry speech of criticism and or accusation that was unprecedented in tone, content, volatility, and malice, with the aim, no doubt, of reminding us that there are new rulers in the country and we must therefore shake in our boots. He even beat his chest and declared the rule of man. What was or is the rule of man, you may ask? And that caller just now was referring to the way the Premier in Nevis spends money, his callous approach to monies. And he wants, as his caller says, he wants to suck up with Jew, to use his words, because he wants money. And very interesting, the Nevis Island Administration budget presentation, we are told, is next week, Tuesday. And I awaited his presentation with a bated breath. Because last budget cycle, last 2022, there was or would have been a $98 million budget deficit. I'm not joking, $98 million. He's spending up to last year, his expenditure. The total expenditure was $239 million. His revenue, $131 million. And how on earth are you going to spend over $200 million and you can't even collect $150 million? If you try to collect that, that's bad. But you must live within your means. If Timothy Harris did not give Mark Brantley $49 or $45 million in budgetary support, he would have had a $98 million deficit. But he had a $53 million deficit. Could you imagine what it would be come next budget? I am waiting to hear it. Because that man knows nothing about managing anything, much less a country. He has raised the debts in Nevis to $500 million or more, over $500 million. Could you imagine that? And then he had an election recently. So you can only anticipate what will come next. Good night, Mr. Liburd reads this email. I am a 27-year-old male from New Road Housing. I have 2 children who are 2 years old and 6 months respectively. I was employed with Hestonham Security for 4 years. I was laid off a few weeks ago because I was advised that my services are no longer required at the JNF hospital. I voted for Dr. Jew, only to suffer like this, reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, there's a big song and dance about anti-corruption legislation by this Labour government. But they need to start with themselves. Because everyone knows that Douglas, Gart, Conris and Hanley are not squeaky clean, reads that email. My Shredog family, this other email reads, since Gart is not afraid of anyone, why did he file an injunction to silence you, Mr. Patches? The young lady who was fired from Social Security will be redeemed, Patches. Tell her to keep her head up high. God is not sleeping, reads that email. My Straight Talk family, at 8:38, as we wind down, 22 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. And we are, for those who may have joined me belatedly, we are discussing tonight this era of revenge, spite, and malice. My Street Dog family, we looked at these issues tonight because they are real issues and we need to address them and address them frontally, as someone would normally say. And my Street Dog family, the way that this government is behaving, the way they are behaving, that we wonder and we ask ourselves, what is going on in our country? And when we ask that, we must be able to stand up. Stand up, and I always tell you to speak the truth. The truth may sometimes be brutal, but truth is what you ought to stand by. And my people, what has been happening? What has been happening, as I mentioned tonight, and I referred to the way they treated our fourth Governor General. And again, we wished him a happy retirement. But I made mention of our last elections, the 22 elections, which seem to have been motivated by revenge, malice, spite, and ill will. We made mention of the comments of the then opposition member, Terence Drew. And I also made mention of a popular saying of which I learned during my days in business. And this popular saying in the worlds of politics and business as well, that most people who come to the state of being important, famous, or prominent are those who in defeat bear malice and in victory seek revenge. Dr. Drew reads this email, I'll get back to that. Should remember how they treated Dr. Simmons by going up to his house the morning when he lost the election and taking out the generator. This was done by a radio personality. Reads this email. This other email reads, those people voted for Labour but works for Night Watch. Now they are home because the new security contract is not with Night Watch anymore. They voted themselves out of a pity, reads this email. So I made mention again of 2015 and 2020. And Drew made noise and really attacked the Christian Council, the Bar Association, and so on. And Drew had this to say back then when he lost in 2015 and 2020. But my Stray Dog family,
what took place in St. Kitts and Nevis on June 5th was a travesty to the ideals of democracy. It is sad that I could not hear from the Christian Council on this one, nor the Evangelical Association, nor the Bar Association, nor the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or all those other voices who we would have who we were accustomed to speak in public when it comes to good governance issues and what is democracy and what is fairness. And so I want to reiterate to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that this is not a St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's issue. It is way beyond that.
My people, the same organizations are silent today as well. while there is an unhinged concentration by Prime Minister Jew and his Attorney General, Garth Lucian Wilkin in particular. Caller, you're live.
Okay, Patches, I'm here again. Thank you for your soundbite. Dr. Jew does not sound like a leader of a country. He does not have a statesman utterance like any other leader of a country. They speak and they cap the voice and they bring it down according. He has one tone of voice, vengeance coming out of his mouth. And anybody could hear how he speaks and see what he has in his mind. Is to vindict people. Now the person who write the email and ask what the jeweler doing now these times. But is in school, children, students, they strive to get as many levels as they can. And it seems like the O level is the most common one. But in politics, when you go and run independently and you get all O's, you know what that make you? It make you hush your mouth. Nobody wants you wrong. So that is the answer to the jewel of silence. And the email that says Nevis has those guys that bully up there in NRP. I agree with the email. It's time enough for someone of them get up and take on Mark Brantley. Because Mark Brantley believes Nevis is his. And he could insult the people in many ways. Like when he went up to the place up there, and he and Dr. Joe were riding bike in the street and taking picture. Why are you doing that? For to show from people. So I am calling on the people in Nevis. Stand up with NRP. Don't let that lady break up NRP. Just like how Mark Brantley break up Team Unity. That is his intention in life, to mash up once he can lead. Now, this $500 that Jew them stop from people. There is a friend of mine in number 3 said that all she had to put on the $500 to pay her rent was $100 and something. And since the $500 stopped, she cannot afford to pay the rent. And she's not working. And it's about 6 months now. She ain't paying the rent. And the landlord tell her, oh, PHQ. So she said she made a mistake by voting for Congress. And now she need help. He said he can't help her. Because she get paid to vote for him. And then let me tell Mr. Garth Wilkin this. You sound like when 2 dogs ready to go fight. You sound like you're full of vengeance about you're going to name and shame some people and they should be shaking in the boots. Well, evil think as evil does. Because you are shaking in your boots. If you take off your boots, you're shaking in your slappers. So you feel like other people are shaking the boots. Take out the beam out your eye before you go to look in your brother's eye and take him a little more in there. That will let the email him come in.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. And for my dear brother Zeke, I was just responding because I voted in cabinet to pay off the $1 million of IMF debt that was left by Douglas. Remember, Douglas took us to the IMF. It was a Team Unity that paid off that debt. Right? So the millions of dollars of IMF debt left by the Labour Party was paid off by Tim Harris and his Team Unity administration. My Straight Dog family, it's now 11 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. 11 minutes before we wind down, my Stray Dog family. And this email reads, Dear Patches, Drew is terminating opposition supporters in the hundreds, if not the thousands, up to today. PLP supporters are getting the hardest blows. Every day, another PLP gone into the throes of unemployment. Those of us who have been able to stay afloat feel it for those who have recently joined the breadline. Please offer them some fathom of hope as we ride out this tyrannical Putin-like government, reads this email. And that's what's happening, my Stray Dog family. As I said, the same organizations are silent today, while there is an unhinged concentration by Prime Minister Drew and his Attorney General, Garth Lucien Wilkin in particular, on achieving the destruction of the PLP and other opposition supporters. Understandably malicious, is it? Revengeful, given the nature of these men. His senseless attack on the spirit of entrepreneurship and the vilification of young businessmen are inexcusable, to say the least, my Stray Dog family.
I also have on my desk a security firm. That security firm, I have the contract. They make millions of dollars per year. And that company, with the document, as owner by Heston Ham, is not only seen over the government headquarters, the hospital, but other areas. Yes, we see that one security firm, just from the hospital alone, is making millions of dollars.
My Stray Dog family, the security firm hired over 80 persons or more, paid all their benefits, not like others in the cabinet, but they paid all their benefits as prescribed by the law or the laws. They paid all their business taxes in the millions. Another entrepreneur was senselessly attacked, and his business ties with government were promptly ended.
I want to also touch on Open Interactive. In August 2022, the Attorney General notified the public that his office and ministry discontinued the services of Open Interactive. And we know that who owns Open Interactive. Open Interactive received over 1.3 million EC dollars from the Attorney General's office and ministry for the most basic of website design and maintenance services between November 2019 and June 2022 at an average of $42,000 per month. And I am informed by the Attorney General that there was no procurement process completed with respect to this that Open Interactive got.
The pompous Attorney General who informed you provided some lame duck excuse for the actions that were taken. Caller, you're live.
How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm good.
I can see those dimples. Now I hear the voice.
Okay. All right. There was a call in to say. I just listened to some people on the radio and on the road. And they're using Timothy Harris, how he's wicked, he's bad, he's everything that is bad for thinking. I would like to ask, was not he bad when he go around and fix all the roof them? Some of them have more. Some was leaking.
some wasn't have on nothing at all on top of them. Wasn't he bad for that? Maybe he take away oil, he do all sorts of things to them and what's not. But remember, he fixed your roof, and your roof was full bowl. And was not that he gave the country, the poor people in the country, money of $500 to help them pay their bills. And this good government here, take back the money what he gave them and got everybody right now here thinking. I look underneath the arm to see who will come because the bargaining and the grumbling. Was not he bad for that? You good. And the one that pay good do so many good. You say he ain't nothing for 7 years. But he's in everything that's done is that what they're working on because the alien bigger hold up to now. He's there for 6 years right now. So who really is fooling who? Who is fooling who? When you're banging them out? Because, call them out, call up nobody doing the government, the party around that they toy and they got it up their affix. That's why he bad. Well, let him stay bad and keep the good one. And but he didn't have to fight and so Mr. Attorney General, and he beat him his chest and so he work hard. You work harder than him and he put his foot in your shoes in this country here to do the work that you don't do. So you could be chest too. You don't bother me. I even work harder than he. Walk about his ticket. Because everything he can see, that is what they're living after today. Sugar cane money. So you don't have to worry with them. They hit bang his chest. You go and bang it out. Don't take them on. He can't touch you. He could never put his foot in your shoes. For the things and the other work what you don't do in this country here. Don't take them on and don't bother with them. It's good, they good, you. But if you have a pleasant night, and see you on Thursday, God, stay alive. Safe, drive home.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And you have a pleasant night, what's left of tonight as well. And we connect on Thursday for another edition of Street Talk. Let us go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good night, Patrick.
Good night, sir.
I just want to ask a question, right? Because the lady that was calling, I agree with her. Because when I think it's a long time, and when I come here, there was no life. And I see Timothy Harris win and bring the place to life. When he win, he dig up the road and fix it around the whole island. I there and I see many storms come. And I see the people in who blow off and mess up. Just as though the talk a while ago. And what I see the Labour government do is send a tarpaulin to give the people in a tarpaulin to put on their house top. Then parties tell me, all the people in could be so ungrateful. And when Timothy Harris win, I see he fix both Labour and farm house stuff, repair them. And the same people them turn him back and talk bad things about him and vote him out. Oh, ungrateful they be. Tell me now. I have a question I want to ask. I see the Governor General, the new one that they give Governor General Marshall Liburd, I see the same Labour people them vote her out. They don't want her. So I was thinking in myself, what could she do to achieve Governor General while the same Labour people them turning back on her and vote her out because she's not doing nothing good.
Very interesting.
So I just want to say, congratulations to the Team Unity government because so far I did a long time and it's one of the best government. The right person to think it. You used to get $500, but you can feed them and help or something. The government come in and change it. But what I say, Patrick, is labor they want, is labor them get. Because the people are too ungrateful. So let them feel it.
Yes, my brother.
I just regret that they will vote out the wrong Prime Minister. The best one for the country. I want to say big up to Timothy Harris, for a good job they do in St. Kitts and Nevis. For the time I live here in St. Kitts.
Yes.
And you, the professors to do a wonderful job. Always,
Thank you,
and I will listen to the program and listen to other people and talk.
Okay, thanks.
So I just want to say congratulations to you again for the successful work to do and the wonderful program.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for your intervention as well. Give thanks, and that's thanks a lot, my brother, and that's the way we're gonna end it tonight in terms of our calls, because believe it or not, my time is done and I'm gonna run. And I'm reminded as well, before we part company, that as I said, that this security firm owned by Heston Ham, my investigation revealed that he hired over 80 persons and more, paid all their benefits as prescribed by law, not like some people. He paid the benefits for his workers. He paid his business taxes in the millions. And I'm reliably informed as well that the security firm went through a bidding process and emerged as the best company to execute the terms that were specified by the Ministry of Health. And remember that security was demanded after shots started to fire on the labor at the Joseph N. France General Hospital. As a matter of fact, one person was killed, dead. I think either entering or coming out of the emergency room. And it was that security firm that provided armed security as well, that brought peace and quiet to the Joseph N. France General Hospital and prevented any major act of violence there. And the question is being asked, according to this email, did the old Bastia High School demolition go out to tender? And that's the question that's going to be asked as well. And my Straight Talk family, as we wind down, we spoke as well about another entrepreneur that was senselessly attacked, and his business ties with the government were promptly ended. The pompous Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin, provided some lamed up excuse for the actions that were taken by the Jew administration when he said this.
The people need to know what the people before did, so they can then determine whether they want these people to run their affairs and have control of their treasury again. So by telling the people and being open and transparent with them, by naming the people who have done bad, say what bad they have done, you are really telling the people you need to determine if that kind of conduct is acceptable to you or not. It may be conduct that does not arise to the level of a criminal offense, but it might be dishonest. It might not even be corruption. It might be just below. It might be just a, wow, really? So it's not a matter of naming and shaming. It's a matter of providing the public with the information so they then can determine if these people who did this action when they had the power should get power again, because ultimately the people decide that.
Suffice to state, as we conclude, my Straight Dog family, there is something called the clean hands doctrine. Some say the unclean hands doctrine, or others say the dirty hands doctrine, which states, and I quote, "He who comes into equity must come with clean hands." But the country will never forget the recent diatribe coming from the Attorney General. Yes, it was long. It was an angry speech of criticism and or accusation by the Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin. That was unprecedented in tone, content, volatility, and malice, with the aim, no doubt, of reminding us that there are new rulers in town, and we must shake in our boots. You remember that?
I'm not afraid of anybody, and I was saying that straight up. I'm not scared of anybody. I was hired to do a job, and I'm going to do that job. So some people should be shaking in their boots right now.
Yes, he beat his chest and declared the rule of man. And what is the rule of man, you may ask? And the most learned Attorney General ever we've had in St. Kitts oblige.
I might be publicly embarrassing some people, which might actually be worse than going to prison. I'm contemplating whether I should do that, and I'm minded more so about 70-30 to embarrass some people who might not have been corrupt, but were, I don't want to use the word I used earlier, but not very friendly towards our treasury, and I'm not going to tolerate that, and I'm going to embarrass some people.
Until we connect on Thursday, be good to all whom you meet. My Stray Dog family, bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday, have yourselves a wonderful evening and the best of what's left tonight. My Stray Dog family, bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.